All right, guys, I know there's a lot more important things we could be talking about. I might make a video covering some of the impending doom in the world on my podcast channel. Maybe not. Maybe I'll save that for my live stream tomorrow night. But either way, I know that there's this impending war and the stock market collapse. And of course, Mondays always kind of suck. And they're always kind of bleak. I'm not a big fan of them myself. But we still need to be able to have a good time. Still need to be able to have a good laugh now and then. So we're going to have a laugh at Alyssa Mercante, the senior editor at Kotaku, which I don't know how they're still in business after Game Informer closed and everything else is just shutting down left and right. But she's also the self-described former cam girl, and of course has this weird fixation with how she thinks she's just like the hottest thing since sliced bread. So she organized this Trans Lifeline charity event. She was trying to raise money for this charity called Trans Lifeline with the Firefall Fire Sale Get Rich or DEI Trying Streamathon. Now, Trans Lifeline we'll get into in a minute. Long story short, she took some merchandise from this Firefall game that Mark Kern was attached to and decided to get back at him by auctioning it off and to raise money for obviously what she thinks is something that would make him upset, a trans charity. So she did a really good job. She got almost $23,000 raised. Kudos to her. That's a lot of money. I mean, for anybody in a real, who's destitute or homeless or their house burns down or whatever, that's a lot of money. That can help get somebody, back on their feet, at least a good start towards it. So yeah, she organized the charity event, the streamathon, all the merchandise they auctioned off. But what they didn't expect was in all of her gloating and all of her reposts of people supporting her and talking about how they're just crushing it and they're owning the chuds and the transphobes and all this other stuff, she decided to go one step further and to go on Hypnotic's stream on Saturday night and gloat about how she made $20,000 for her charity, and if any of these guys need her to hook them up with soap, to let her know. Because again, this whole weirdo fixation these left-wing lunatics, these activists on Twitter have, where apparently they think anybody who's not like as unhinged as they are doesn't bathe or doesn't wash their rear end. I try to make sense out of it, but it honestly doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to play Hypnotic's response right here because this is pretty epic.
So I just want to let you know, I really don't like to brag. I hate bragging, but I feel like I earned it in this scenario. It took your entire industry, right? Your entire industry, developers, shills, trans people, anime profile pictures. It took your entire industry to raise the same amount of money that I made in 1 month on YouTube.
Oh, don't give me Storm. I need.
You can kindly go fuck yourself.
So yeah, he had a pretty good own, a good laugh at her expense. But again, you still see these people talking about how pathetic these guys are. If your podcast needs 9 guys on it, 4 of whom won't even show their faces, you're washed. Straight up, this guy looks like he belongs on an offender lineup, which is weird because this is Kate Bush's husband. You don't want to see the pictures of this guy, honest to God. He's like some weird Antifa type who's been arrested. I've seen pictures of him where he's like, well, we're not even going to get into it. It's disturbing, disgusting shit. This Wash Your Crack account, it would take more than $20,000 to clean that crew. Some of these people that in real life you imagine have hatchet wounds and probably don't bathe or shave their armpits. But again, they're going to pick on people by saying they smell bad, apparently. So, more relevant to the issue is this Trans Lifeline charity. And I was going to make a video on this last night. I didn't get around to it. I got 2 videos done out of 3. I was dead-ass tired, completely exhausted, and Smash JT beat me to it. So shout out to him. He actually has an article for his subscribers on his website talking about how Alyssa Mercante crashed their stream and accidentally exposed a charity scam. Now, again, I'm going to say alleged scam just to be careful, because again, this is just, speculation by what we can see on our part here. But it's really funny how when you start looking into this charity, things just don't quite line up. So Trans Lifeline, okay? Trans Lifeline is a charity that's been around for a few years now. Going back, I think it was founded originally in 2013 or 14, but they've changed leadership a few times, going back all the way to 2018. They have this person here, Sam Ames. Don't know if it's a man or a woman. They go by they, and literally when you read through the description of this person, they say during their time leading the campaign, it helped pass the first 6 state bills in the country protecting youth from these practices. They and it, talking about a person. Then we have a deputy executive director, and I believe this person moved on as the executive director before then stepping aside for somebody else. Reverend Elena Rose Vera, a Filipina Ashkenazi trans woman from rural Oregon, and she is also a graduate theological sorry, she has an what the hell is this? Holds an MDiv from the Masters in Divinity from Graduate Theological Union, focused on social justice and community care work, and was ordained as a minister by the Church for the Fellowship of All People, a historic interfaith civil rights congregation in San Francisco. I mean, it just fits, right? It fits perfectly with exactly the kind of people you would think are running a trans charity. But more specifically, the charity itself. Let's talk about what they have on here for the issues. Now, this is a helpline. You call these people when you're having very bad thoughts, okay? I don't think I need to go into too many details. However, they actively speak out against people calling traditional helplines, traditional hotlines, when you're having those breakdowns, those, traumatic moments where you need somebody to talk to keep yourself held together. Because of the fact that they believe that there are so many economic and racist and xenophobic issues that essentially create a situation where you can't trust the people who work at those hotlines because they're not trans, and they're just going to call the police, and the police are going to come arrest you, or they're going to detain you against your will at a hospital. So you can't talk to those people, you have to talk to them. However, the funny thing about this hotline is they are only available working hours, daytime hours, Monday through Friday, not on the weekends, not overnight, because they are only volunteer. So get this. Supposedly, they have over 600 plus trained operators. They've answered over 103,000 calls. Yet, they are not available on the weekends, overnight, early morning hours, nothing, because they don't pay these people. You must volunteer in order to join this community, as well as being a trans person yourself, because all the people working the hotline allegedly are all trans. Gets even weirder. So you get Grums down here pointing out some of the things that I noticed, and there has been a massive disparity between what the executive directors get paid and the fact that they don't pay anything to their volunteers, on top of the fact that the spending has continued to go up, as Smash JT has pointed out, to where they spent over $5.3 million in 2022 while only bringing in 4.7. So they are spending more money than they are actually making. And of course, I shared this one here. I said it's not just that the executives are making six figures while the charity spends more than it brings in. They also don't pay any of the hotline workers and only answer calls Monday through Friday. All this while they actively badmouth traditional hotlines. And of course, you can see here, most crisis hotlines in the US are non-consensual intervention, usually with police if they determine a caller is an imminent risk. Research has shown these non-consensual interventions actually increase rates of bad things happening. This decreases trust in crisis hotlines. So if the police or the medical, professionals come to help you, come to stop you from doing terrible things to yourself, they believe that that actually has a negative effect. I'm not kidding. So, of course, if you want to be a volunteer, here's what you got to do. In order to apply for hotline, microgrants, and communications positions, you must live in the US or Canada, be 18 and up. You need a phone, computer, and internet connection so you can use them at the same time in a quiet, private place to take calls. Because we offer peer support, hotline and microgrants volunteers positions are only open to trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming identified people. They don't care that they aren't even reaching enough people because they don't have enough volunteers. And it's really crazy. I hate to be really dark about this, guys, but we know that this particular group of people has a very high rate of mortality, self-inflicted rate of mortality. And these are the same people that are trying to stop other people who have the same high rate of mortality from ending it all. It's like the blind leading the blind at this point. But again, I think the point that needs to be hammered home a lot harder is the fact that these executives are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, millions spent in charity money for these people who are running this organization, this charity, while they get non-working volunteer people, non-paid employees, essentially interns, I guess they would call them, to run their hotline, process their microgrants, all this stuff, meanwhile acting like they actually care about these people, but not giving them enough people on the line to actually talk to them if they're having an emergency. Like, what do you do in this situation? This is fantastic. Check this out, guys. Before I end the video, check this out. What should I do if I can't reach the hotline? Why wasn't my call answered? We often experience high call volumes. Why didn't I get put in a hold queue? We cannot support a queue at this time due to unprecedented community demand. Why wasn't my call forwarded to another hotline? Unlike other hotlines, we don't forward our calls to other services when all our operators are busy because we offer peer support from trans people. We cannot guarantee trans operators on other lines. We are a peer support line, not just a crisis line, so we don't forward calls to crisis lines. Lastly, we do not practice non-consensual active rescue or call 911, so we do not forward to other lines who do. What should I do now? If you didn't get through, please keep trying because we want to talk with you. Well, what do you do after 6 p.m., guys? Come on. In the meantime, here are some resources that may be helpful. First, you may want to ground, center, or do some breathing. Do you need imminent help? Reach out to these community-based crisis supports. Under these, finder tools to find financial resources, shelter, public benefits, or visit our categorized resource library. Try calling us again. Try another hotline or warm line. Please be aware that most other lines engage emergency first responders and law enforcement and have differing levels of trans competency. So the $22,000, $23,000 almost, that Alyssa helped raise for this lifeline goes to pay the salaries of these extremist, ideologically possessed people who hate police, hate emergency operators. They hate anybody who's going to come and say, hey, if you're having a mental breakdown, you need to go to a hospital so you don't end everything. They want you to stay home, talk to a trans person, and apparently that'll solve all your problems. So I'm going to leave it right there, guys. I know this is kind of a heavy topic, but it's Alyssa, and this is where we talk about her, and I know I haven't talked about her in a while. I haven't wanted to give her attention, but this was pretty crazy, pretty huge. So let me know what you guys think about all this. Share your thoughts down below, and I will catch you on the next one. All right, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for being here. I do have 2 channels, Minimal Effort Podcast, as well as my gaming channel. I do have a Twitch and Kick for my gaming channel. We do live streams over there occasionally, maybe once a week. And then if you are in the market for a new PC, make sure to check out Meta PCs. Click the link I have down below. Use code TBO at checkout for a special discount. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.